Just think about it for a second. How many decisions have you already made today? Hundreds, maybe even thousands? Our lives are just this constant stream of choices. But when it comes to buying a service, something intangible, something you can't see or touch beforehand, that decision just feels different, a little heavier, right? So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and decode that hidden process.
It's a feeling we all know so well. You need a new mechanic, maybe a dentist or a financial advisor, so you jump online and bam! Within seconds, you are just flooded with websites, reviews, and ads. This right here is the modern consumer's daily decision dilemma. And that feeling of being completely overwhelmed, it often leads to one thing: paralysis. You just freeze. Sound familiar? Look, this isn't some kind of personal failing. It's actually a documented psychological thing called choice overload. It turns out that too many options can actually make it harder to choose, not easier.
And this image, it just illustrates that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? You can't test drive a haircut, you can't get a free sample of a medical procedure, so choosing a service really does feel like a leap of faith. You're putting your time, your money, and your trust on the line, all while just hoping for a safe landing.
But what if I told you that this whole seemingly chaotic process isn't random at all? What if there was a map for this journey? A structured, predictable framework that can actually guide you through all that complexity and help you understand your own decision-making.
Well, there is such a map, and it's called the three-stage model of service consumption. Now, I know it sounds a little academic, but it's actually an incredibly practical guide to what's happening inside your brain every single time you need to buy something.
The whole journey breaks down into three pretty distinct stages. First, you've got the pre-purchase stage. This is all the homework and the evaluation you do before you commit. Then comes the service encounter stage. That's the actual experience of using the service. And finally, the post-encounter stage, basically how you feel about it all afterward.
Now, all three stages are obviously super important, but our focus for the rest of this explainer is going to be on the one where the decision is truly forged, the pre-purchase stage. This is the mental battleground where you weigh your options, manage your fears, and ultimately make the call.
So, every journey has a starting point. And for you, the consumer, it all begins with a trigger. That specific moment you realize, hey, I have a need or a problem that needs a solution.
This slide breaks down exactly where those triggers come from. It's a concept called need arousal. So that initial spark, it can come from your unconscious mind, like an aspiration to get fit that suddenly has you searching for a gym. Or it can be a physical condition, like a nagging toothache that sends you scrambling for a dentist. Or hey, it could be an external source, like a really clever ad that convinces you that you absolutely need a professional organizer in your life.
The second that need is recognized, your brain just kicks into high gear. It doesn't consider every single option in the universe, no. It immediately starts filtering, creating a quick mental shortlist of potential solutions.
And there's a fantastic marketing term for this shortlist. It's called the evoked set. These are the handful of brands or providers that just pop into your mind, the real contenders in your decision process. Honestly, for any business, just getting into a customer's evoked set is half the battle, right there.
Okay, so now you have your shortlist. Your evoked set is ready to go. Next comes, well, probably the trickiest part of the journey, evaluating each of those options by weighing its potential risks and its rewards. I mean, this is the core question, isn't it? With a few solid options right in front of you, what is the mental calculus you're running to pick just one? How do you make that final choice?
So this is often explained by a system called the multi-attribute model. Now, you're not actually creating a literal spreadsheet, but your brain runs a very similar calculation. Just look at this example for choosing a dry cleaner. First, you decide what's important to you. Let's say quality gets a 30% importance weight and convenience gets 25%. Then you score each option. What's interesting is even though your current dry cleaner scores a perfect 10 on quality, the new one scores higher on those other factors that matter, giving it a better total score. See? It wins, not by being perfect, but by being the best match for your personal priorities.
But we all know it's not just a numbers game, right? Our brains are wired for something way more primal than spreadsheets. They are constantly and subconsciously scanning for and managing risk. We are literally hardwired to avoid making a bad choice.
And the source material breaks this down into 7 distinct types of perceived risk. There's functional risk, which is just, will this actually work? Financial risk, is this going to cost me more than I think? Temporal risk, are they going to waste my valuable time? Physical risk, Is this safe? Could I get hurt? Psychological risk, is this going to be a stressful experience? Social risk, ugh, what will my friends think of this choice? And even sensory risk, is it going to be loud or smelly or just generally unpleasant?
So, faced with this minefield of potential bad outcomes, our brains have developed some pretty clever coping strategies to make us feel more secure. How exactly do you handle all these risks?
Well, you instinctively reach for your risk reduction toolkit. To manage that risk of a bad haircut, for example, you'll ask friends for recommendations, you'll scour online reviews looking for photos, and you'll probably choose a salon with a really great reputation. You're looking for anything, a satisfaction guarantee, a free consultation that can act as a safety net and just reduce the unknown.
So let's bring this all home. By understanding this invisible architecture that's working behind your decisions, you can go from being a passive consumer, totally overwhelmed by choice, to an active, empowered one. You are mastering your own consumer journey. And that's really the big takeaway here. Understanding this map, from that initial spark of a need, to building your shortlist, to weighing attributes and managing risk, that is the key. It completely transforms that feeling of choice paralysis into conscious, confident decision-making.
And that right there is the real-world power of what we've just talked about. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you have to choose a service, what will your journey look like? Now that you have the map, I wonder if you'll be able to see these hidden steps start to unfold.